Weird typically means very unusual, bizarre, or strangely out of the ordinary. If it's one thing One Piece does not have a shortage of, it's characters that fit that description. Most famously in terms of their design, which can be so unusual that they literally turn people off from even starting One Piece. I'm on a quest to rank the less talked about aspects in One Piece. We've done silhouettes, dads, and foreshadowing. Let's continue the trend by ranking the weirdest characters in the story. Now, how exactly am I ranking these? There are basically only two criteria: character design and personality. If a character has a really wacky design but an average Joe personality, that's gonna drag it down on the list. It's the combination of a total nut job and bizarre appearance we're after, which will skyrocket you to the top of the list. Let's start with the man of 1,000 shins, Vice Admiral Red King. This is one of those that we One Piece fans are used to at this point. None of us was surprised when a 6-shinned Vice Admiral showed up on Egghead, but if you showed him to someone who's never seen the show, they would likely question what the hell is wrong with it. He doesn't only have shins. When I first saw him, I thought he would fight similarly to Don Shin Yao or something, but nope, he uses a massive gauntlet. He's got a very creative tattoo on his neck. Like, how did he even come up with that? He certainly won't win any Vice Admiral beauty competitions, but surprisingly, he's got a very normal personality. Until he lost the slapping contest to Frankie, he didn't say much, but when he did, it just sounded like stuff you'd hear from some random NPC Marine commander. So despite his unconventional looks, I can't put him any higher than mildly odd. Next up, we have the physical manifestation of a bad acid trip. Wanze. I'm not sure if I want to try whatever Oda was on whilst creating him. This freak works for CP7 and fought Sanji during his MVP run in the Sea Train. Most Cyberpol members are trained assassins, specializing in stealth and martial arts. But the recruitment standards apparently also included can produce spaghetti through nose, because Wanze's entire fighting style revolves around making ramen noodles inside his own body. He shoves flour into his mouth, moves the dough around in there like a human cement mixer, and then shoots fully cooked noodles out of his nose. He has a full ramen mech suit. Imagine training your entire life as a government assassin only to get folded by a sentient bowl of noodles on roller skates. But the thing that truly pushes Wanze into nightmare territory is his face. He permanently looks like he just heard the funniest joke in human history. Even when he's angry or terrified, the smile never changes. Fun fact, Wanze was originally supposed to be a sexy female chef. A few things changed on the way. Just imagine waking up and seeing this guy in your room. Nightmare fuel, no question about it. If there's one guy people love to hate, it's Scratchman Apoo. I've genuinely seen more hate directed toward him than to that painter guy. Let's find out if he deserves it. Visually speaking, Apoo looks like a SoundCloud rapper from the Grand Line. This dude has piano teeth, lightning bolt hair, obviously very long arms since he's part of the long arm tribe. His devil fruit is actually busted if you don't know its weakness. If you hear his tunes, congrats, your torso just exploded. However, when his enemy realizes they can just cover their ears, it becomes pretty useless. When you look at his personality, the hate starts to make even more sense. This man betrays everyone. He joins alliances just to snitch immediately, works for Kaido while pretending not to, then halfway through the raid starts considering betraying Kaido too. I'm happy Zoro cut his ass down. He's a strange fella, but not anywhere near Wanze levels. Most people fall in love with One Piece during Arlong Park or Alabasta. Me, however, I fell in love with One Piece during the Island of Rare Animals. That's the first time I knew I was gonna love the world of One Piece. And who is the star resident of that island? It's of course Gaimon, my beloved. If someone told you that a person had been trapped inside a chest for 20 years, you'd think it's a metaphor for being restrained by doubts or something. But it's truly this guy's life story. His body got compressed so badly after falling into it that now if he leaves the chest, he'll just instantly die. Which means his entire anatomy is basically chest-shaped now. Oda really introduced body horror in chapter 22. The design itself is also incredible. incredible. Over the years, his hair and beard grew out so much that he basically became part of the island ecosystem. He high-key looks like one of the animals living there. But the part that always stuck with me is the reveal that the treasure chests he protected for 20 years were completely empty. That's one of the most underrated emotional moments in early One Piece. And then later it was revealed that Gaimon actually found a partner. Her name is Sarfunkel and she lives inside a barrel. Of course she does. I'm just wondering, how do they... Gaimon is insanely weird, but that's why we love him. Moving on to the local plague doctor. Oh, my bad, I meant plague engineer. Queen. He feels like Oda challenged himself to create the single most overstimulating character possible. Every time this man is on screen, there's at least 12 different things happening at once. He's an obese cyborg dinosaur scientist disco performer with a bounty of over 1 billion. And somehow that still doesn't fully describe him. The design alone already puts him in a high tier. He got the energy of a washed up rock star who accidentally became a war criminal. His personality elevates him to the Hall of Fame. Buddy treats biological warfare like halftime entertainment. He'll release a deadly virus that turns people into frozen zombie monsters and then turn the whole thing to a sick game of cat and mouse. I feel like people understate how evil this guy is. I mean, he literally bullied Jack half the arc. When X-Drake turns into a dinosaur, he just bites people. Queen detaches his own neck from his body like a snake. Gotta give him some cool points for that. Queen feels like someone took 5 completely unrelated characters and fused them together into one gigantic disaster of a human being. I hope he's gonna have a good time with Wanze. I have a certain viewer that comments on every single video I make, seconds after I post them. And he just happens to be a chess super fan. Yes, they exist. And I'm not talking about the board game. If you don't have a PhD in One Piece, I'll remind you that Chess was the evil chief of staff for Wapol. I didn't add evil, by the way. It's his official title. They didn't bother to try and hide their intentions. Chess looks less like a government official and more like somebody who lost a bet at an obscure medieval carnival. He's dressed in this checkered winter outfit with a jester hood and permanently wavy lips that make him look deeply disappointed in life at all times. I love his introduction though, just standing in the ocean, talking about the weather with that expression of total despair. His main responsibilities in Drum Kingdom weren't those you'd expect from the right-hand man. Bro's job was writing down Wapol's laws and documenting everything he ate. Why didn't Wapol leave those menial tasks to some random subordinate? He only gets weirder after merging with Kuramarimu to create Chess Marimu. This thing looks like a rejected Pokemon evolution. Chess has a goofy charm to him. I low-key understand why he's got dedicated fans. Or well, at least a dedicated fan. No one can deny that he's insanely strange though. I bet you didn't expect to see Baby 5 here. Unlike the others, she seems fairly normal at first glance. She looks like a stylish assassin, but personality-wise, she might really be one of the strangest and most tragic people in the entire show, and there's a real reason behind it. As a child, she was abandoned by her mother, who called her useless before leaving her, and that completely destroyed her mentally. Ever since then, Baby 5 developed this overwhelming need to feel useful to other people, to the point where she physically cannot refuse a request from anyone. People ask her for money, she hands them her whole bank account. A random hobo proposes to her. She starts planning the wedding. That's canon, by the way. Sai jokingly told her to die for him during their fight, and she almost does it immediately because she thinks that's what they need from her. She's simultaneously one of the funniest and most tragic characters in Dressrosa. Pretty much all of her scenes feel like she desperately needs therapy, but thankfully it ends in a wholesome manner. Sai realizes her entire life was spent trying to prove she deserved to exist, so he actually treats her seriously and ends up marrying her for real, which might be the only healthy outcome in the Don Quixote family. Baby 5 lands in the strange tier. Ever since Pearl came first in the new popularity poll, people have claimed that he's weird and didn't deserve it. which just proves the One Piece community still isn't ready for greatness. People often say that God works in mysterious ways. The same could be said about Pearl. First off, let's address the design. People laugh at the giant iron plates on his body. Meanwhile, true Pearl fans see innovation. While every other East Blue pirate was wasting their time learning swordsmanship or basic hygiene, Pearl was out there pioneering defensive combat technology. Did you know Pearl didn't lose a single drop of blood for 61 battles straight? Name a single other character that can uphold a streak like that. The fact that seeing his own blood instantly sends him into a flaming psychological breakdown isn't a weakness. Fire Pearl might be the most underrated transformation in the series. No devil fruit, he just becomes fire because he wants it bad enough. Kaido wishes he had Pearl's aura. Have you ever wondered where Whitebeard got his pose from? Look no further. Pearl is nightmare fuel even for the Yonko. We have reached the final boss of weirdos, Lao G. His whole existence feels like a fever dream. Even the rest of the Don Quixote family look normal standing next to him. Everything about him, of course, revolves around the letter G. His attacks, his poses, his speech, his entire existence. Out of all the special interests in the world, bro. Additionally, his fighting style is just being old. The man fights using back pain and near-death experiences. He spends half the fight looking like he needs help crossing the street and then suddenly turns into a shredded martial arts monster for 30 seconds before immediately aging another 20 years after being defeated. At one point, this man straight up dies. His soul probably couldn't stand being near Don Chin Yao anymore. I don't blame him. You gotta love his jumpsuit that makes him look like a retired gymnast. The fact that this guy was one of Doflamingo's elite officers is insane. Imagine pulling up to fight the mafia and one of the bosses is a nursing home resident screaming G. I don't think Oda could ever create a weirder character than Lao G. Body is so odd that it feels out of place in One Piece. I think that warrants a tier of its own. Get in there, old man. Thank you so much for watching and let me know in the comments who you think is the weirdest character in all of One Piece. And by the way, I've heard that only really based people will watch the video on screen right now.